Let's talk about common mistakes that you should avoid when you're selling a condo in Miami. My name is Anthony Johnson. I'm a real estate agent in Miami, and I'm also the creator of Audio.com. And in this video, we're going to talk about the common mistakes that you should try to avoid when selling a condo in Miami. Now, let's talk about the most common thing that I see, and that is getting the condo ready for the market. I've seen this when I was working with buyers, where the condo owner does nothing to the unit. They typically have a tenant that just moved out and they did nothing. And they also turn off the electricity. And if you live in Miami, you don't even have to live in Miami to know that it's humid and it's hot. And if you do not have AC on in the property, you can get mold, it stinks, it's not good. Now, I'm a real estate agent that takes my own photos, and I honestly just use my phone because our smartphones are very smart, and the best thing in the phone to me is the camera. But one downfall with the camera is that even with any camera, but our smartphone cameras does not do really well in low light, especially with the ultra wide camera. But if there's no electricity, you can't take good photos. And if the condo isn't in good condition, I personally don't even want to take photos because it doesn't allow me to do my job correctly, which is to market your property. So I want my clients to make sure that they get the property taken care of. They get the walls repainted, they get things cleaned up, things repaired and renovated. Bare minimum, you should clean. That's the bare minimum. It should be a deep cleaning done after a tenant moves out and to keep the electricity on. On top of that, do minor repairs. You don't have to do anything major, as long as if there's something that needs to be repaired, at least let the prospective buyers know that, hey, the AC unit might be given out ahead of time. We can factor that into the price or just get it taken care of. It's a lot easier when the property is in good condition. Buyers nowadays want a move-in ready property. I know that there's a lot of HGTV shows out there and buyers think that they want to renovate, but most do not really want to renovate, especially condos. Now, do you need to get full-blown renovations? It would help. If you got the kitchen renovated or the bathroom renovated, if it's outdated, there should not be any carpet. There's still carpets in Miami, but if you have carpet, I would recommend you getting that up out of there and getting something more modern. But it's not completely necessary. You can make small changes. Again, painting does wonders. If you get a fresh coat of neutral paint and a deep cleaning, that does wonders. Change the light bulbs out, add some LED lights, make sure all the switches work, change the switch outlet boxes. You shouldn't have any chipped outlet boxes. Like updating the thermostat to something smart, like a Nest, that helps. So you can do a couple of things to prepare your property for the market. But if you get anything that I'm saying from this, is the biggest tips is do the bare minimum. Make sure that you have the unit painted, deep clean, and keep the electricity on. Just do those three things. And if you can't do the painting, at least deep cleaning and keep the electricity on. You should always have the electricity on. The second most common thing is probably tied for first, to be honest, is overpricing your condo. Now, I've seen people overprice their condos when they list it for themselves and overprice it with a real estate agent. Now, when listing with a real estate agent, one of our jobs is to recommend a price that you should sell for. We'll send you some comps and say, hey, you should list it at this price. But the thing about real estate agents is a lot of real estate agents are going to take whatever listing they can get. It's free marketing for themselves. So if you don't agree to their price, they'll list your property, and some people will keep it listed for months. Me personally, I don't want to take your listing if I can't sell it. Now, if your price is a little bit unreasonable, I may list it as long as you agree to dropping the price to where the market is after a couple of weeks. Overpricing your property is a video in itself. If you list your condo and it's overpriced, you're not going to get that much activity. The first couple of weeks is where you get the most activity. If you're not getting a bunch of showing requests, and no offers within the first couple of weeks, you need to adjust your price, and you need to adjust it significantly. You can't just drop it incrementally and it's still overpriced. So if the market is saying that your condo should be on the market for $550,000 and you are listing it for $650 because somebody that sold their condo 2 years ago or in the summer that the market was crazy, you're handcuffing yourself and your agents. If you're listing it for $650 and the market is saying $550, go ahead and test it out for $650. And in those 2 weeks, if nothing's going on, you need to list your property around $550. Now, the thing is, when you overprice your property, if you are trying to really sell, you'll end up getting to where the market is too late, and then you're going to be taking much less. So be realistic when it comes to your price. Work with your real estate agent, review your agent's comps, look at comps yourself on Zillow, have an appraisal done if you don't believe anything. Take those and just put everything together and then come up with a price. The next common mistake is working with the wrong real estate agent. Everybody in Miami is a real estate agent. I'm not saying that I'm better than any other agent, but I will say that I take my profession a little bit more seriously. I'm building my own platform for people that are selling their condos or listing them for rent. I've seen agents that they should not be real estate agents. It's too easy to become a real estate agent. Hiring the wrong real estate agent is very detrimental to you and your bottom line. When you're hiring a real estate agent, you want to first interview them, check out their online presence, which can be deceiving. I'm not going to sit here and lie. We can get on video and talk all day, and then you'll hire us and we don't know what we're doing. But you just want to see what their reviews are, what their website looks like, and what their marketing looks like. Now, the thing with real estate agents is that we're typically under a broker. A broker gives us tools to use to gather new clients and tools to use when we list properties. So when you're talking to other real estate agents, they might all say the same thing. I'm not one for scripts. I'm not a salesperson. I'm not trying to prove you to work with me. I'll show you what I have to offer. You make your decision, but you'll get agents that are very salesy and a little pushy. But at the end of the day, most of us say the same thing. Let's be honest. So again, make sure you do your research, do your due diligence, ask questions, ask, why their marketing plan is different. The biggest thing is that real estate agents can sell your property, right? But for you as a seller, you want to know who can sell your condo quick at a good price, making it seamless and efficient. You also want your agent to know what they're doing and to protect your interests at all costs. And that's the biggest key, in my opinion, is you want to make sure you have an agent that knows what they're doing. Because when we start going and doing contracts, we're not lawyers, but we should be able to interpret the contracts and make sure that contracts are written in your best interest and to be able to explain to you what these contracts are. So let's just say, for instance, you are under contract and the buyer wants to back out and they want to get their deposit. I've been in these situations myself where someone backs out. I've gotten a phone call from a buyer's agent the day of closing saying we got to back out. But you want to make sure that your agent is on their P's and Q's, because there's things in the contract that a savvy buyer's agent can figure out a way to maneuver, get their buyers out of the contract and keep their deposit. You want to make sure you get the deposit, not because you're a bad person, but because you just lost out on potentially other buyers. So one thing is to make sure that you're getting sufficient money put into escrow. So making sure that your agent is negotiating a higher escrow deposit, making sure that your agent is getting the documents and contracts and addendums signed by all parties in a timely manner. One thing that, buyers agents can do to get their clients out of a deal is if your agent does not deliver condo documents in a timely fashion, let's just say that you're under contract for a month and the inspection period came and went. That's typically the time where the buyer can just back out for no reason, but your agent never delivered the condo documents. They never got anything signed saying that the buyer received those condo documents. And let's just say the buyer's agent asked for the condo documents and the buyer has, at least for the as-is contract, they have 3 days to back out after they receive those condo documents. Well, it's been a month and your agent didn't deliver those documents and the buyer agent asked for those docs and then they get it and then they're like, oh, you know what, my buyer wants to cancel. And you can't get that deposit because they are within their right to be able to get out of that contract. When it comes to hiring a good real estate agent, they need to take good photos. I've seen real estate agents take very bad photos on their phone. Now, again, I take photos on my phone. They look just like professional photography. Now, if I can't get good shots, I'll hire a photographer. But it's not about the camera, it's about the person taking it. And a lot of agents just don't master their craft. We sell properties. Why can't we take photos of properties with all the stuff that's accessible to us? I learned how to take good photos, and the biggest thing is the editing to make sure that they look good. Virtual staging helps. An agent should have a 3D tour for you. A lot of buyers are making decisions sight unseen. So your agent should have great photos, video walkthrough, a 3D tour. This is something that is very common. It's a fully descriptive listing. A lot of agents do not list properties with a full description of the property. They leave things blank. So you want them to be able to fully market your property as well as it can be online, because you can get a buyer from out of the state or out of the country that would like to buy as long as they have all the information readily available. So here's a time for me to plug myself in. If you list your condo with me, you're going to get great photos, a 3D tour, a video walkthrough, a property landing page where I automate any leads that I get from places from Zillow or any other platform, even real estate agents that go to my web page, because that page has all the information that I have. So it's very very transparent. It gives the buyer more information that they can get from anywhere else, information that I can't put on the MLS. They can get information regarding the condo building, frequently asked questions, so on and so forth. You can always visit my website, alleo.com, if you want to check that out. Now, listing it yourself is another common mistake. I'm not going to be a typical real estate agent telling you that you can't sell your condo yourself or your property yourself for that matter. You can. Now, again, with our smartphones, you have access to a decent camera. So if you take good photos, you know more about your property than anybody else will. So you can list your property for free on sites like Zillow. The biggest mistake I would say though is to not leverage buyer's agents. You should pay a buyer's agent a commission and encourage them to show your properties, because you'll save on the whole commission. You won't be paying the 5-6% commission, but you should pay at least 2.5 or even a 3%. You will still be saving a bunch of money, and you're gonna leverage the buyer's agent to do some work for you. That's one of the biggest mistakes I would say that comes with selling your condo yourself, is to not work with buyer's agents. Also, when it comes to being under contract, you have to be on point. You cannot screw up when it comes to contracts. If you're going to do the contracts and deadlines yourself, you have to be on top of it. I would recommend at least hiring a real estate lawyer or hire a real estate agent just to manage the transaction. You don't want to miss any deadlines. You don't want to just type anything. Those things are very important when you're going under contract. If there's any type of dispute when it comes to a deposit because a buyer wants to back out, a lawyer will go through those contracts and find the smallest thing and say, hey, now this contract's invalid because of this small mistake. So you want to make sure that you are very diligent when you're under contract if you're going to list yourself. Now, the last common mistake is going to be showings. So you want to be flexible with showings. Now, most condo sellers in Miami do not live in a unit. Some do, but for the most part, the showings are typically altered by a tenant being in place. Me personally, I would rather list a condo when it's vacant. It allows a lot more access to the property, especially if a lockbox can be put on the property. The best case scenario is to be able to put your property on lockbox and it being vacant. That's the maximum exposure when it comes to showings. Now, if you have a tenant in place, you want to make sure you communicate with them, let them know that your property is going to be listed for sale. The lease is typically safe unless you want to buy them out or something like that. But for the most part, the lease should still be in place even when the new owners take over. But when it comes to showings, you want to make sure you communicate with them and work with them. I've had instances where the tenant works from home and they're okay with showings, but they're going to be there, or they may be okay with certain days and certain times. In any case, you just want to make sure you work with them. At least they have to allow some showings at least once or twice a week or something like that. Just work it out with your tenant, but that can't hinder it. If your tenant's messy, that can affect the marketing, that can affect the showings. Talk to them, make sure that they're at least going to make sure that the property is presentable for photos and for that 3D tour, and they'll make sure that it's presentable for showings. It's case by case. If you have a tenant that's not helpful, it may be better to just wait for them to leave for you to list it for sale, or you can battle it out with your tenant. But those are the common mistakes that I have for you when it comes to selling a condo in Miami. I hope that you find some value in this video. Please make sure you subscribe and like. It helps me out a lot. It gives me some motivation to continue to create this content, but I'll see you in the next video.